talking about running a marathon. It appears that many people think similarly, as this year some 25,000 starters made the London Marathon the biggest ever, and certainly the most popular. You see, it's set in the heart of London's famous tourist belt, and this event also boasted the strongest field of world marathoners. Prominent was Steve Moneghetti, the silver medalist at Edinburgh, he's from Australia, and Douglas Wakihuri from Kenya, he was the silver medalist in Seoul. Now, Wakihuri is well known to New Zealanders as he spends much of his training year here, and he was in Auckland only weeks before the London event. Well, world boxing champion hopeful Frank Bruno was the guest starter.
The gods are kind for the 1989 ADT London Marathon. The temperature around 50 degrees and there's very little wind. There's a star-studded elite field, but there's 25,000 massing at the start to make it the world's biggest ever. Plus, of course, there'll be about 1 million along the route. And as in the past 8 Londons, this is the day when thousands will test their own fortitude and their own pain barriers to make life a little easier for thousands of others less fortunate. The cement that binds them all together may be the very real discomfort of attempting the everyman's Everest. This is St. George's Day Parade, and the starter's Frank Bruno, and he's enjoying himself. He's amongst athletes, and he's loving it. As for the elite athletes, well, there's some tremendous Ethiopians here. We've got very good Australians. There's Ahmed Saleh of Djibouti. Alastair Hutton is there. And some of the great names of marathon running that will contest this, and some of the great club vests. It's going to be a cracker. Last year's winner, Enric Jordax.
1 minute to go to the start of the 1989 ADT.
Now the elite race. Frank gets them underway, and I must say, Brendan, this is a high-class field of the very highest order.
It's a high-class field, and the conditions are perfect for the elite runners. But the nice thing about this marathon is that it takes a nice long time to get going, and they're slowed down so they can't do any damage in the early part of the race. We're looking for the Ethiopians, we're looking for the Tanzanians, and we're looking for the East Africans to feature in the main race. But this is what the London Marathon's all about.
This is the festival, St. George's Day. The masses putting themselves to the test. Now, the women's race, just as international. Veronique Marot we're looking out for, Mary O'Connor from New Zealand. We've got Aurora Kuna of Portugal, an absolutely world-class field. Rasmussen of Denmark, Kelocha, and we'll be picking those women up. And some is there, Brent.
Nick Rose there has been hired as a pacemaker, and he's doing his job. He's been asked to go through almost a world record pace, which I think would be a bit ambitious, because I'm not sure with such a quality of field here that anybody's thinking about records. I think this is a race where reputations are at stake, where big title to be won, and men like Douglas Wakihuri from Kenya and Ahmed Saleh from Djibouti and the Australian Steve Moneghetti are going to be featuring in the later stages.
Got to say, Brendan, conditions are absolutely superb for a fast time. I don't think they've ever had it better, and they've certainly never had a better field, so maybe records will be put under pressure today by the men and the women. $25,000, the biggest marathon ever. And up front, well, the elite, just behind them, the club runners. At the fun runners, and some of them will still be coming through the gates, and that's no bad thing that they're slowed down at this stage. The Blenheim plodders, that's where they should be, starting slowly.
Well, the BBC are there, and they're trying to beat the record. We're looking for over 22,000 finishers. That's the world record that was set in New York earlier this year. That first mile time of 5:06, it's not too ambitious, it's not too fast. You can see there's an enormous group there, and all the danger men are there already.
Jorgensen I can recognize. Until we get their faces, this is lovely here. Telly shot. Frank Bruno is getting the royal salute. He's giving the royal salute. Thousands enjoying the fact he's here today. Alan Minter was pulling his leg earlier, and Alan's in this race, one of the great charity runners of the day. Oh, right at the back of the field, there's Ian Thompson, former Commonwealth and European champion, and his race charity is a unique one. He's waiting until the very back of the field, and then his charity starts for every 100 runners he can overtake. And that will be brilliant. It's going to slow him down drastically because there's just a sea of runners ahead of him, but he's timing himself, and he'll get paid for charity for every 100 that he overtakes during the course of this London Marathon. Now, there's definitely Chris Hallam coming up to Cutty Sark at 6.5 miles. He's got company, and it's the big names that we expected, and the company's both Ted Vince is there wearing 1, Scott Patterson is there wearing 3, and David Holding, I think, is wearing 14. This is the cobblestones. They don't like it, but these 4 away.
And they're clearing up back at the start there. The start's completely clear in about 8 or 10 minutes, with excellent time. And there's Nick Rose doing his job through the 4-mile mark, under 5-minute mile pace, but it's not too aggressive. And you can see the group. It contains all the danger men. There's 3 Ethiopians, there's a Tanzanian, there's a Kenyan, and there's a couple of British boys, Tony Milosorov and Kevin Foster in there.
As a matter of fact, Brendan, looking at those times, the first 2 miles looked a bit slow, and it looks as though it's picked up a little bit on the on 3 and 4. But here are the masses at Woolwich, taking on water. It's a long way to go, and they're going to need it.
6.5 miles here, Nick Rose leading and doing his job, and actually looking over his shoulder and wondering why the group aren't coming with him. And when you get the big names together, there's always a temptation to stay together to run a race rather than to compete for a time. And whilst the organisers are ambitious about world record times, sometimes the athletes aren't that ambitious because there are people to be beaten here. Saleh wants to beat Moneghetti, and he also wants to beat Wakihuri, who beat him in the World Championships.
Well, this is a debriefing of the police. They've done their job at Blackheath. They've done a marvellous job, as have the St John's Ambulance Brigade. And also coming around at 6.5 miles, Cutty Sark. And these are no mean runners. They may be waving to the crowd, but this is still a fast time. And we're looking for the lead woman. It's Cunha of Portugal. Brendan, that's a surprise. Aurora Cunha, renowned as a track runner, but here she is leading in this marathon, which is pretty much new territory for her. Aurora Cunha, and we can't see the second woman, so that's quite a lead. Now, Chris Hallam, he said, watch out for the techniques on this. Look at the bike he's got. It's a cracker, it's a Bromakin. It's built for speed. Vince is chasing after him, Patterson too, and there's a cracking race building up.
And there's Veronique Marot back in about 4th place at this stage at the Cutty Sark, running with some of the men runners who she's going to get some information from because she's run with them before. And Nick Rose still stretching the pace there. Pat Peterson from the United States and Gonzalez from Mexico, but the big boys are in that second group. Jorgensen moving out of the group and beginning to join the leading pack, and that actually makes a difference because when the winner of last year's race strikes out ahead, they all look, they all check, and they all wonder, should I go or should I stay? But when the big names are in that second group, I know I'd rather be in that second group.
A strong African core in there, and some of the world's greatest runners from the third world in that second pack. A lot of class in this field. Cutty Sark. Father Christmas outfit I seem to recognize. Was she not with us last year? I think so.
And Aurora Cunha set off an ambitious pace here. She's running faster than she's ever run before, and she's a good champion. She's run 2 marathons and she's won 2 marathons, and maybe this is the one where she's decided to go for a fast time. She's the world 15-kilometer champion, so she's a good class athlete and she knows exactly what she's doing.
Aurora Cunha. Oh well, we've seen Eric Busker Newton before, and he's going through the alphabet on the songs that he's playing all the way around. Look at this. Scott Patterson on his shadow from Canada. He wears 3. Behind him, Ted Vince on his paralytic wheelchair, and Chris Hallam. In the mile, well, the spectacle as ever. The changing of the guard comes at 10:30, but this is what will entertain the crowd while they're out here this morning.
Rose doing the job he's been paid for, and he's only got another mile to go. Then he can retreat to the comfort of his hotel room and watch the second half of the race. That's a strong group, and the pace is beginning to gather a little. This is around about the 12-mile mark.
Into the regenerated Isle of Dogs. A fascinated landscape that changes every year. This is where the most dramatic building program in London is taking place. The new London Arena is housed down here in Lyme Harbour. Now Dale Lyons, I can see there, the pancake man. There he is, the galloping gourmet. He's the fella that started off at 4:30 this morning, running the other way. He's doing 2 London marathons today. Muscular dystrophy is his charity, and it's a magnificent one. Wearing 47 is our first, the lead woman, Josie Kichoki from Huddersfield. And that's a good piece of driving from Josie. She's going well. Now there's the mass. That's the RAF regiment who are out to beat 4 hours 30, but they've got to finish as a full squad. Every man is carrying a 40-pound pack and a rifle. This is a tough force march for them.
And the men are now past the halfway mark, and Tony Milosorov, who's obviously feeling good in that group, and he's decided to stretch out. Now I just feel as though he should have stayed in the group, because he's having his best marathon run that we've ever seen, and we've expected a lot of him in the past, and he's pushed on and pushed ahead. Now it's important that he just relaxes here, and if the group catch him, not to panic and just stay in it. This is the best he's ever run.
Now this is Liverpool's answer to the disaster of just over a week ago. What they've done is get more than 500 together. They're wearing Liverpool shirts, and they've said that they're going to come down and thank everyone in London, and in fact everyone that's been with them, empathizing with the sadness of a week ago. Aurora Kuna, though, running superbly, making a big lead and making it tell, getting nursed along by these good club athletes. Only 2 marathons to her credit, but she really has gone off very confidently indeed. Now down there is one of Britain's greatest marathon runners, Hugh Jones. He's finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the London Marathon. 10,000 balloons going off. Each one of them has a tag in it, and it's for the Sir Malcolm Sargent Cancer Relief Fund. Hugh Jones still very much involved in the London Marathon. Henrik Jorgensen and Tony Milosorov, Brendan, gone back in the pack. Steve, I can see there. Look at this stream of balloons. There's a prize for the one that gets furthest away. Charles Chaplin, one of about half a dozen. He's looking at an A to Z of London. Well done, Charlie Chaplin. Good one. The Isle of Dogs, who've, well, they've bedecked the Isle of Dogs for the occasion. I think some of the new companies getting into the spirit of this London Marathon. The big old octopus there, and we've seen 1 or 2 other inflatables as well.
And that's Nyambui of Tanzania in the lead there.
Nyambui, Brendan, oh, renowned, what, for years now. Track runner, indoor track runner, national collegiate cross-country champion. He's in the lead. Moneghetti is with him. There's a Portuguese up there, and Saleh in all black. Saleh looking menacing. Is this a break? Ted Vince, just wearing number 1. He's on. Oh, and he's gone over. Ted Vince has gone over there. He's got himself sorted again. He doesn't want to go on the carpet. The wheelchair hate the carpet, but they don't like the cobblestones either. And that would have been a break, and he would have got away. And he's ahead of David Holding there. And up comes Chris Hallam and Scott Patterson, but that was an unfortunate one.
And there's Veronique Marot. She's in 3rd place now and running strongly. She's stayed away from the lead. She's running very even pace. And Aurora Kuna has been leading. It went very, very ambitiously for the first half, but she still looks strong, she still looks good, and she is a world-class athlete. So we've got a race on here, but Kuna, she's slipping outside that world best time, which was in hand for the first part of the race, but she still looks strong.
And there's a Polish girl in 2nd, Brendan, Vonda Panfil. She's wearing F12. We haven't spotted her yet, but that Panfil is in second, and Kuna is leading, and Veronique is in third. We've seen this fella before, and it's all for charity, it's all giving. He'll make his way around Cadisac. And Moneghetti now, the young Australian. No, Rob de Castella, he had to pull out with a knee injury, but Rob de Castella was saying, look out for Moneghetti. We saw him in the World Cross Country Championships. He ran superbly in the mud. And Tony Milosorov, who took the lead earlier on, bold move, still in the pack. Chris Hallam making a move now. Chris Hallam, our most experienced wheelchair athlete. He's lost that on a wide. Oh, and another one come to grief. That's the second one, and that's Scott Patterson of Canada, and he's lost about 40 meters because they have to make the distance up here. Is that super? Yeah, super granddad. Yeah, super granddad.
Well, this is a serious race now. Steve Moneghetti striking out, followed by Bulti, Saleh, Tony Milosorov running the race of his life in fourth place, Matthias from Portugal, Wakihuri and Nyambui in that group. And the pace is beginning to gather now. They're around about the 20-mile mark, and you can tell there's a serious race in being here. John Galway from China just dropping off that group.
Look at this coming up to the finish. What a finish. We've got four wheelchairless together, and that's Vince Hallam Patterson and David Holding on the right-hand side. Could this be a British victory? Because Chris Hallam appears to have the lead. Chris Hallam on the left. The broad back of Chris Hallam coming up hard is David Holding, the youngest in the race at 20. Look at this coming through. Ted Vince wearing one. It looks as though Vince has got it. It looks as though Vince has got it by about 3 meters, but there's still a spurt on, and David Holding's with him. David Holding's coming hard at the line, and it may well be Holding. What a race. The best wheelchair. Look at this. It's Holding. Magnificent victory, and Chris Hallam driven out. It was Chris Hallam that was telling me how good this 20-year-old is from Mansfield, the bookkeeper, and what a race he's had. A 1, 2, 3. Magnificent.
And Steve Moneghetti there running to the side. That feed station should have been in a better place than that. Saleh's taken the opportunity, and Moneghetti and Wakihuri have lost valuable ground there, but I think they were more concerned about getting a drink than they were losing the few yards. Saleh didn't need a drink, and he decided this was his opportunity. And Tony Milosorov there still in that group.
That's the Isle of Dogs, where they go into the Isle of Dogs on the right, come out on the left, 3 miles apart. That's Tower Bridge, the one we kept and didn't sell to the Americans. Now, it looked as though Saleh was trying to make a break. This very tough athlete from Djibouti, one of the great athletes that put Djibouti on the map. Yes, he's there, and he's got Wakihuri of Kenya with him. And this tough paratrooper who's got a lot of experience. And Moneghetti has found himself, what, about 40 yards down now, and still the women's leader, Brendan, and running well, Aurora Kuna.
Well, she's through the 20-mile mark, and she's still leading, still running strongly, but there's a race developing behind her. And now the men's race is down to 3. It's Steve Moneghetti pushing along, Ahmed Saleh from Djibouti, and Wakihuri, who just won't lead. The other two have led various points in the race, and Wakihuri just stayed behind them, stayed off the pace completely. There's my old friend Mike McLeod, who's having trouble with the marathon. You can tell his legs have gone. But it was a brave preparation and a brave effort, and he won't be enjoying that part too much.
Well, Mike McLeod said he don't expect too much. He's still growing at this event. Here we are, West Ferry Road. And the news is that Veronique Marot has taken the lead. Corner has dropped back. Veronique Marot has taken the lead for England. Although she was French-born, she took up a British passport in '83. She's run well for us, and that's a magnificent spurt. And Moneghetti, too, has come back to these two. He had about 40 meters. There's a lot of changing, a lot of coming and going. At 25 miles, this is a good run by the young Australian.
Well, 3 together with a mile to go. What a London Marathon we're having here. We've never seen 3 men come down the mile together before. And Saleh and Moneghetti both glanced over their shoulder and have spotted Wakihuri, who's done nothing yet.
I must say, Wakihuri hasn't changed his facial expression one iota. That's the mass in and out of the Isle of Dogs. Down into the Isle of Dogs on the right, out on the left. This is the real do-gooders of the day. The fun runners make millions for charity, maybe £8 or £9 million. But the lead car is up and this race is on, and they're waiting on the bridge. Look at them, there's no break from these three at the moment. Saleh's there, Wakihuri of Kenya in the red, Moneghetti, no break at the moment, but they're punching hard. They're all putting a sprint in. No change of expression from Wakihuri. Moneghetti has raced brilliantly. Saleh's seen the lead snatched once or twice in the past. He's had great races, but never been able to sustain it. And look at that, Wakihuri looks to his right, and Wakihuri looks the most confident at the moment, but the crowd rising to this. It's going to be a tremendous finish. They really are in the last few hundred yards, and what a race. And it's Wakihuri that's gone. It's the Kenyan Douglas Wakihuri, the world champion, that's gone, and he's got away. Moneghetti trying to close that gap, and then Saleh has fallen back again, and it does look as though Wakihuri is looking very confident at the moment, and he's going for a fast 2 hours 9 and just a few bits, and the Australian can't close and Saleh can't close, but what a 1, 2, 3. Never seen a London Marathon as close as this. Wakihuri, who trains in Japan, is a Buddhist, he speaks fluent Japanese, and he's got great discipline, and that's the first time we've seen him smile. And Steve Moneghetti second, and it's Saleh that makes third. What a race, Ben.
Well, personal best, first and second place for Wakihuri and Moneghetti of Australia. That's why he's delighted. The world champion and now the London Marathon champion.
Well, I wonder if we're going to see Veronique Marot. We've just seen Douglas Wakihuri clock 2:09:03, and Marot leads for England in the women's event. Alan Minter's there. Alan Minter, former world champion. He's running for Great Ormond Street appeal. There's Veronique Marot, and she's being helped along by these club athletes. This is a tremendous run from the 33-year-old. Just taking a check. I hope he's watching BBC One. And Veronique coming up to her finish. She's looking exceptionally strong. It's a superb run. A superb run. An articled solicitor, coached by Brian Scobie, running better than she's ever run. Look at this, and the time's going to be far, way inside her best and way inside the United Kingdom best. It's 2 hours 25:56 or thereabouts to be confirmed. Veronique Marot wins the women's event, and this is Panfil of Poland, who's kept that second place, overtaken Kuna and run in bravely for a new Polish record. It's around 2:27 for her, and Kuna in third for Portugal, and I think that she too will get a lifetime best out of this. And we've had 3 magnificent races, I must say. Absolutely superb. And then there's Douglas Wakihuri, confirmed at 2:09:06. Steve Moneghetti 2:09:06, Saleh, and the first man home for England, Tony Milosorov. Veronique Marot confirmed at 2:25:56. Panfil of Poland in second, Kuna of Portugal in third. All 3 have a lifetime best. So the London Marathon turning on its charm as ever, but producing the best conditions we've ever seen. Calm, still day, and now it's about preservation, some nice jazz, and survival.
Born in Kenya, raised, I suppose, in Japan, trained in New Zealand. That seems to be the story for Douglas Wakihuri, the winner of the London Marathon. Quite interesting, too, that his coach in Japan was Kiyoshi Nakamura, and the meeting between these two took place in 1983, when the 19-year-old Wakihuri met Nakamura here in New Zealand, when the Japanese team were training here. And it was after that meeting that Wakihuri was taken to Japan to continue his training. Great success for him in the London Marathon.